I think it's a good deal for the U.S. consumer because I think there was a risk that potentially Hawaiian could have gone out of business. And so I think really what this whole thing adds up to is Hawaiian was a bit distressed. They've had some problems in their core businesses, especially from wildfires, Japanese travel, things like that have just hurt their core business. Their balance sheet was stressed. And so Alaska coming in and taking them over, assures that they continue to exist. The combined entity has a footprint that looks like, or a route network that looks like West Coast U.S. into Alaska, and then Alaska has some long haul into Asia. So it makes Alaska's operations a little more complex with some long haul, wide body aircraft. For most U.S. consumers, they're not going to really be able to tell, but I think the U.S. Department of Transportation, Department of Justice figured out that, like the Spirit JetBlue merger, purchased by JetBlue, whatever you want to call it, I think letting that fail means that Spirit's in difficult straits. Hawaiian would have been in a similar place, and I think they've decided, let's just let this go.
Does this mean that the Spirit deal could get another look through, or that's definitely dead?
I think that's definitely dead from a JetBlue perspective. I'm not sure if Justice would think differently about it now, but I think it's dead.
George, what's the current status of just demand for air travel these days? What are the airlines saying these days?
I mean, what we saw in 2Q was that budget travel definitely looked like it was taking more of a demand hit. Although, it looks like some of those travelers are fading a little bit. And I say although because we saw a bunch of capacity come to that marketplace, right? And I think really what we're starting to see in 2Q of this year was a fading of this bounce back travel boom where people were paying anything it took to go on vacation. And so I suspect we're going to continue to see that as we get into 3Q. We're actually working through schedules right now for the U.S. airlines as we do as we close the quarters down. And we're still seeing a decent amount of capacity coming to the marketplace. When I say decent, we were looking at domestic the other day, 5-6% growth in seat capacity, and you really can't do that in a market that the U.S. economy is growing a couple percent, and you don't have this bounce back travel. So we still think 3Q looks soft-ish. It's not as bad as 2Q. Some of the capacity growth isn't there. Interestingly, we're seeing more capacity growth come in from the big full-service carriers than we're seeing for the budget low cost. And notable are carriers like Southwest and JetBlue literally pulling back in capacity as they go into the end of the year.
Right, so you have the big guys are able to compete a little more on capacity and then price, and then the other guys can't, and that gets confusing. So this is a dumb question, but if I take a look at the big guys, can you rank these for me here? So you get the Delta, American, United. They're going to be the top three, right? What comes after that now?
Southwest. Southwest is number 4.
Okay.
One of the biggest carriers in the country.
And
then you go into the Alaskas, JetBlues, those folks, sorry.
So did Alaska and Hawaiian Airlines help them get a big boost? Are they in the top 5 now?
Well, Alaska is going to be 4 or 5, and JetBlue is going to be at 4 or 5. So the Alaska-Hawaiian combination probably jumps them a bit above JetBlue. I haven't looked at this recently. JetBlue is going to be number 5 if they got Spirit, and those two are kind of neck and neck. So my guess is they're slightly ahead now, Alaska.